Today's guest is the wonderful Adrena Trice. When Adrena and I met in Chicago at NBA All-Star, we became instant friends, and it's been a privilege to watch her career elevate ever since. In today's conversation, we chat about her rise from an intern for Issa Rae to a PR wizard, and now taking on more creative opportunities through direction and production. Adrena shares her experience as a business owner and an entrepreneur and what inspires her work. She is radiant with positive energy, and I can't wait for you all to listen. Hey everybody, we have my girl Adrena here. We've been talking about doing this forever. Yes. I love her so much, and so I'm so excited for you guys to get to know her. So we're just gonna jump right in. You ready?
Let's do it.
Also, look at how incredible she looks.
No, look at
Okay.
Are you kidding me?
All right, Adrena. Just start by telling us a little bit about who you are, growing up on the Southside of Chicago, and everything up until launching your career in PR, which is a lot, I know.
It's a lot. But I narrow it down. So of course, from the Southside of Chicago, from a neighborhood, Auburn Gresham, 87th Street. My entire family grew up over there. Our childhood home, my mom still is there. And yeah, I'm a Chicago girl at heart. I went to Fort Dearborn, which was down the street in Brainerd Park, not too far from my childhood home. Simeon, of course, I'm a Wolverine. And then shortly after, I went to Northern for a year, Northern, Illinois, in DeKalb. And I dropped out and went to fashion school.
I mean,
crazy.
Where was
Illinois Institute.
Oh,
before
yeah.
they shut down.
Okay.
That's another story. And eventually, I ended up completing my undergrad degree at DePaul.
Okay.
Which was a phenomenal experience. And shortly after that, I went to school to be a pharmacist. And I got accepted at St. John's, but I couldn't afford it.
Was that is where St. John's?
Here in New York.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
okay.
it's in Queens.
Yeah.
And I couldn't afford it. So I'm like, well, at the time I was working at CBS Radio.
What made you, first of all, what made you interested in pharmacy?
I'm a nerd at heart. I love science. I love chemistry. I've always excelled in biology, chemistry, physics. I am a hardcore nerd. Actually, my name spelled backwards. Adrena is a nerd.
Oh!
So it's I love science. My dad loves science, so that's where I get it from. And I love math as well. So that combination, I like combinations. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it just goes to show how smart you are and how you can apply it in all different aspects, right?
Science is life.
Okay, so you couldn't afford pharmacy, so
Yeah.
You said you were working at CBS Radio.
Yeah, so immediately after graduating from DePaul, I went on an interview for CBS Radio, and John, the guy that was interviewing me, he's like, oh, you went to DePaul? Oh my God. And apparently I didn't know, it's just Mayor Daley went to DePaul, so he's he was impressed. During undergrad school, I actually didn't have a college life like everyone else. I would go to class.
Were you living at home or were you living?
I had my own apartment.
Okay, where?
I was in Bronzeville.
Okay.
And I literally 16 credit hours per quarter, and working 50 hours a week. And I literally class 8 o'clock class, go clock in work at 10:30, leaving work about 5:30, going night class, online class. So I didn't have a college life. So for me, that was very impressive. During the interview, he's like, "Oh, you've been working." I'm like, "Yeah, this is not my first job. This is job number 10 right now." And yeah, after CBS Radio, excelled. They were like, I didn't know, because when you working in communications, you work in advertising, PR, all of these things. So for me, working in radio sales, I excelled in it. They're like, it's an opening in New York, a role. And I'm like, for sure I want to take it. Hell yeah, I want to be in New York. So came to New York, St. John's didn't work out, but I ended up falling in love with marketing. And I'm like, all right, well, I think this for me, actually.
Was it an internship to start, or like how did you end up getting in the door in the beginning?
So that's very interesting because when I was going to grad school, I got an internship with Sony. And it was to do Red record label underneath Sony. We were doing marketing for Lecrae, church music, and Joey Badass, Devastated single.
Whoa.
And we pushed that like.
Was that his first single?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we pushed it like street marketing, hanging up posters, going to record stores throughout Chicago. Like I had the Chicago area, and I loved it. We excelled. Of course, Devastated is one of his biggest singles to date. And I'm just super proud of that because I'm like, we did that. And from there, they were like, well, we have a role in LA. Here we go again. It's not paid, but it's like creative advertising for the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. Okay. And I'm like, okay, cool. And that was that. Like, take off.
Yeah, okay. Well, you've lived in LA for a while now.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that job inspired the move, but what has it been like moving there earlier in your career and being a woman of color in the entertainment industry?
It was so major because up until that point, the year prior to me moving was my first time ever visiting LA. I never had a desire. I always like, I want to be in New York. I want to be on the East Coast. But going to LA, I went by myself, had a cute little B&B loft. Loved it. I'm like, okay, I can see myself here. This is pretty cool. Then I visit throughout the year, and I'm like, okay, LA is really cool. This is where it's at. I love the culture. And it's funny because months before, Insecure season 1 premiered, and I'm like, this is what's needed. Oh my God, Issa Rae is amazing. Because I will follow her.
Literally the best show ever.
The best show ever. And it was just super phenomenal. So for me to just one-way ticket, and I'm like, I'm gone. I'm not coming back to Chicago.
And so you hadn't had the connection to Issa yet at that point?
No, I didn't.
So that's so cool because it ended up like inspiring your move.
Literally, it inspired my move, and then when I moved to LA, literally 2 weeks with me, within me being in LA, I started working with Issa. It's literally like a manifestation.
Okay, well then talk about that part.
Yeah, so with Issa, I literally was on Instagram scrolling, and I see that her publicist had a comment under her photo, and immediately I went into like research mode, like, who is this? Who's her publicist? Vanessa Anderson. Mm-hmm. And I reached out, and I'm like, hey, I'm new in LA. I don't know anyone. I'm from Chicago, this and that. And I remember her being like, okay, yeah, we would love to meet with you. Just letting you know, it's no paid roles right now. And I said, okay, cool. I will work for free. I don't care. I want this opportunity so much. And met with Vanessa, and it was phenomenal. We hit it off right away, and within 2 weeks, started working.
So what kind of work were you doing with them?
So originally, junior publicist. So coming on, she was like, yeah, just help around. It was really like a swing type of thing. And then she's like, you have event experience? I'm like, yeah, I've done some events in Chicago, some pop-ups, and of course, like working at CBS Radio, we did a lot of like events on site for the Cubs and for the Bulls and things of that nature. I'm like, yeah, I love events. I love curating the vibe. She's like, cool, I have another project for you. Issa has these events called the A Sip series. At that time, Melina Masukas, which I love, she was one of the first guests, and they're like, our next guest is potentially Chance the Rapper.
Oh my God, what a small world.
Crazy. That year, like literally, he had won a Grammy that year, and he got booked and busy. So they were like, all right, well, the next guest will be Lena Waithe. She's from Chicago.
Oh my God,
I'm like, I know Lena. Oh my God, of course. She's phenomenal as well from Master of None. And that was the first event that I curated simultaneously while doing PR for other artists. One of my first artists to do PR for under Vanessa was Snow Allegra.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we worked with Michelle Michenor. She's an actress based from Philly. And a few other like up and coming Black empowered women like in the entertainment industry. And it was quite the experience. It's literally like I blinked and on a red carpet like the next week.
Were you getting paid at all during that time, or how were you supporting that lifestyle?
Yeah, it was balance as well because it started out just like a, helping out around, and then it turned into like, okay, we got to get you in the door. Like, you're great. You got the experience. So it eventually worked out in that way.
Well, and it kind of goes to show sometimes you have to take like a leap of faith and like do a favor or like say, I'll do this work for free because I just want to learn. But if you show up and you do a good job, sometimes that can lead to more, and like clearly you did for you.
Yeah, it's like proving yourself.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, and I felt that I had the experience, and I'm like, I don't care, I proved myself. Yeah. I mean, day in, day out, like, these is grassroots of the beginning of Issa's career as well. So as a black woman entering the entertainment industry and seeing like other black women like lifting her up in the process, it was so inspiring. And from that moment, I'm like, you know what? When I have my own agency, I want it to be woman-led, and I definitely want to help other women along the way as well, creative. So
when you were going through like looking for roles and stuff, did you experience like the difference between, the female-led, black-led versus some of these other organizations that maybe weren't as diverse, and like what was the difference? How did that make you feel?
For me, I have experienced that since the beginning of my career. It wasn't any instance early on where it was like a lot of black women that would be in these corporate offices. I was always like either the only woman, and only black person, only black woman. So for me to come from a corporate background where I'm typically the black woman, to only black woman, to like working with the Issa Rays, it was just like mind-blowing experience. Like, wow, this is really possible, because I felt that it was impossible for so long. So being a part of that experience for me, it just was eye-opening, and it definitely inspired me. Like, okay, I can do this. Yeah. Like, she's doing it.
Well, didn't she start with like just bring her friends together?
Yeah, and I love that. Yeah. I strive for that, just to work with my friends.
We talk about this all the
time. Like,
we say like, wouldn't it be like our definition of success would be able to do the type of work we love and want to do, and just have our friends plug our friends into all these different opportunities, and like that's how we're doing it right.
You're doing it right.
Yeah. Well, and like it's cool that you got to see that early in your career as an example of someone being successful doing that, because some people never see that.
They don't.
A lot of people just see the one example of like, I need to play the corporate politics, and then they don't understand how like, oh, I don't like this over here, I can actually go do it over here myself with all my friends.
Exactly. And it takes, you said it earlier, a big leap of faith. Like,
yeah.
Faith has definitely have been highly significant for me to pivot constantly in transition. So I feel like me taking a leap of faith, buying a one-way ticket, coming to LA, and really putting myself out there, because it's scary. A lot of people don't like to deal with rejection. It's not fun.
Right.
But it's like, okay, my parents always taught me, like, the worst thing that we can say is no, and I take that with me. I'm like, I don't have it right now, so if they say no, I still won't have it.
It's literally like, and so nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
So when you were working with Issa, that was like, after the first season, I feel like that's when it kind of took off.
It took off. So when I was working with her, it was during season 2.
Yeah, you can even see like their fashion changes, and like they all kind of have a little bit of a glow up.
Yep.
In between like season 1 and season 2. It's so funny.
It's phenomenal. And actually, speaking on the style and everything, season 2, they really went sought after black-owned designers and brands featured in the show, and that was so dope. Like,
well, and then they lean into like the black party and wanting to have a fashion show and different things. Like,
literally, it's so fire.
Amazing. Well, that's so cool to be able to like be a part of the growth of that, and like at the inception. And I'm sure like once it was huge, you were able to be like, oh yeah, I worked on that. You're like, what?
Oh my god, it was insane. Like, just looking back on it, I'm so grateful for Vanessa for believing in me and really just seeing it like, let's do it. And just being the leaders, Issa and Vanessa, like, I'm very grateful.
Do you hope to ever get to work with either of them again?
Absolutely. I mean, Vanessa is killing it. She is the top publicist in the industry right now. Like, to see her growth from afar is really like, it's very inspiring, because I remember starting out with them, it was still kind of like that transitional stage.
Right.
And just to see both of them just killing it right now, of course, I feel like it's definitely going to be a full circle moment.
I love it. Well, and it's kind of like, you're probably right now at a point that where she was when you first met her. So who knows? Like,
who knows, right?
Yeah, that's exciting. Okay, so we talked about Issa and Vanessa, and you mentioned like Chance and stuff, but do you have any other notable clients that over the course of your career that you've worked with that have like just crazy stories or anything like that?
It's a lot of crazy stories. I feel that this is a question that I struggled with, because I'm like, who can I pinpoint?
Right.
It's been a lot.
Or any that you're like even just proud to have worked with?
Oh my God, it's like everyone. I must say, because I have to give this one like a big. It's a client. Her name's Janaea Griffin. And I'm so proud to have worked with her because of the fact that she's a client that's in my portfolio that I haven't worked with quite before. She's another Black woman, and she's worked with NASA. She's actually in aerospace.
Oh wow,
it's crazy. So it was very like inspiring. Again, going back to that nerd, like the inner child. I'm like, wow, this is phenomenal. It's like Black women that's doing other things aside from entertainment. And it was so exciting working with her. I remember she secured the campaign for Vogue and Porsche The Art of Drive. That was super dope for them to highlight her story. She also specializes in intellectual property. Those are the clients for me. I mean, I've worked with the Travis Scotts, the Pusha T's, and all of them, but those type of clients for me is very like, it holds a near dear place in my heart, because her story as well. She works with a lot of like incarcerated, like trying to re-enter into the career market, and for her, her story is just absolutely phenomenal to me. And yeah, she's definitely one of my favorite experiences.
I love it. I hope one day I can meet her.
I hope so too.
Yeah, and I hope she hears this.
Yes.
Okay, so what advice would you have to other young women who are interested in getting into this like marketing communication space?
Yeah, be intentional, stay grounded, and really cultivate deep relationships.
Yeah.
It's so important to cultivate the relationships, because I feel that people get opportunities and they're like, okay, bye. That's it. That's done. But it's like, in order to maintain a level of longevity, I feel that if you're continuing to cultivate relationships, then you can't fail.
Yeah, and you just become someone who is always reliable, and like, you are that for me, right?
You're that for me.
Like, I know I will keep throwing you opportunities whenever I can, whenever someone needs something, like a friend mentions it, because I know you're gonna fucking kill it over and over again. And like, that's why it's so important, right? Is you have people in the room when you're not, who like think of you immediately. Okay, so let's talk about 111.
Oh yeah.
You are a woman who owns her own business. And it was originally a PR agency.
It was.
So what inspired you to start that? And what were the steps that you had to take in order to like go off on your own for, I guess, listeners who might be interested in starting their own agencies?
Yeah, so 111, it didn't come overnight for me. I feel that I was working with a lot of prominent figures, and I would see like the publications that will cover them and the coverage that they would receive from the media, and I'm like, it would be so cool. Like, I love rolling with the underdogs. Like, I want their stories to be told. So to have those connections, I'm like, it would be cool just to.
That's a theme on here, by the way.
Oh no!
It's not intentional, but I've noticed that every person I've brought on has some underdog like thing to them. Just really resonates. Okay, sorry for interrupting.
No, you're totally fine. no, you want to always just go for the underdogs. Those stories for me just really shape the culture. And our tagline for 111 was producing creativity while maintaining originality. I felt that that was so key because of the simple fact, like when I get on discovery calls with these up and coming like artists and established entrepreneurs, and when they're like telling me, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it's just so inspiring because I'm like, you're just like a prominent figure that I have worked with, so let's work and let's get to the nitty gritty and let's grow your career. So that was the inspiration behind it. And starting, I know how people like, I had savings, I literally started with $500.
Oh my gosh.
And I literally was like, all I need is a website and I need a business email. I can't be pitching over with a Gmail account. That's key as well. Get a business email.
Nice, honestly.
Yeah, get a business email. And because I was pitching for my Gmail, but when I transitioned to a business email, I was getting responses.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah, so for me, I'm like, that's all I need. And took off from there. It grew over time. I feel like I generated.
Did you have to register like LLC?
LLC as well.
Yeah.
So my LLC license, my website, and I'm like, all right, let's go. My first client was Kyra Epps.
Okay.
She's from Chicago. She's a big time producer.
Okay.
Her partner is Mike Epps, and Kyra was phenomenal to work with because she's a visionary as well. So she knows what she wants. She knows how she wants it. So it was very much so like a smooth transition, and she was the perfect first client to have, a part of 111. And by her being a Black woman as well, she understood the struggle of how it is for us in the entertainment industry. So it was great just to, she's like, okay, I believe in you. We're going to make this happen. We're going to do this. And she really had faith in me. And for her to have that, it really helped us to secure publications for her and to really like level up her career as well. So that was the start of 111. And it transitioned from PR to production.
Yeah.
Again, friends, working with your friends. My friend's like, you're so dope, we love your vision. I want you to do a creative direction for my campaign, Fake the Flower by Joy. And it was it's like a tea bath brand.
Okay.
And she wanted us to do something really cool. So we're like, all right, cool, we'll do it. And it was a phenomenal experience. Working on set, of course, like working with, the Isas and being a part of the set and just like taking from that was very like pivotal.
Right.
To contribute. And it just took off from there. Everyone was approaching me like, hey, you do creative direction? What do you do? Like, you do something dope. Like, how can I work with you? And for me, I'm like, okay, so this is more than just a PR agency. This is an overall creative agency. And that's when we transitioned.
So when you started doing like production, direction, stuff like that, how did you learn the different processes and stuff? I think like you're someone who's like, oh, I see this over there, I'm gonna figure out how to make it work, how to connect it. You're not like, oh, I don't know, so I can't.
Yeah.
But like, how did you learn how to do that? What was that experience like?
Experiences, like, sometimes it's failure.
Yeah.
It's another failure, trial and error. Literally trial and error. I know, like, of course, I read a lot. A lot of videos, a lot of my like creative visionary inspirations, Virgil for one.
Yes, R.I.P. We love
Virgil.
him.
We love Virgil. Chicago. We love Virgil. And my friends as well.
Yeah.
Like just learning from them. My friends that's producers, that's creative directors, and seeing what they're doing and asking questions and being honest, like, hey, I need help. I don't know this. What is this?
I think humility is so important.
It's so important.
And knowing that you can ask and like, no one's expecting you to know everything. I think that's where a lot of people fall short, is where they try to come off as experts in everything, and then they like put themselves in a hole where they can't do it, get help then, and then they can't do it, and then they're screwed.
Yeah, you don't know it all.
Right.
Like you don't know.
So like, what gave you the confidence to still approach all this stuff?
Well, just how passionate I was, how it made me feel. Like with PR, I felt that at a time, a life situation as a woman, I was turning 30. And for me, I was like, okay, I feel I can do more. I want to take it up a little bit. I
Right.
want to transition. And again, friends being like super inspiring, like, yeah, you can do that. I can see you as this. I can see you as that. I can see you as a director. You are a director. You are a producer. And I remember having a conversation with a friend, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm at in my career, one, and I don't know what do I do. Like, I'm having a difficult time because I'm multidimensional. What am I? It's like, you're a producer. You produce a lot of experiences. Like, you could be a director, you could be whatever you do, you're producing. And I'm like, I'm gonna roll with that. I'm a producer. I'm a creative producer. And that really inspired me, just to continue to like pivot and to continue to take on these experiences. Like, I didn't know the difference between a producer and a director.
Right.
And I have friends that come to me like, what's the difference? And I'm like, oh, well, this is the difference. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. I don't know what it is.
What is the difference?
I mean, with the so it depends upon the projects. Of course, the director is the mastermind behind the vision, and a producer produce the results.
Right.
As simple as that. It's not more complex. Like, it's as simple as that.
Right, and it just like applies to different, like, whether it's film or
events,
fashion,
either or. Like, the
Yeah.
producer and director relationship is so significant. You can't do one without the other.
right,
And then you have those that do both, like
Mhm.
me and yourself. So
Right.
it's like, that's when it get a little complex. But you can wear all hats.
yeah.
It's definitely possible.
You're like really big on manifestation.
Very much so.
Talk a little bit about that.
So for me, like 111, I would see a lot of numbers. Like
Mhm.
when I was living in Chicago, I kept seeing like one. I'm like, what the hell? Why are these ones following me? What's going on? Am I cursed? And I looked it up, and 111, it means manifestation. And
Oh, wow.
Yeah, new path,
Okay.
new beginning. So I'm like, okay, cool. So it literally, when I bought my one-way ticket, it was $111.
That's crazy.
Crazy. I landed in LA on January 11th at 1:11 p.m.
Oh my god.
The bus in Inglewood, near Issa's office, it's the 111 bus. My first Airbnb was 1111 Wilshire Boulevard. So I'm like, okay, what's going on right now?
Yeah.
And so I started to further look into numerology, the 222s, the 333s, the 444s, and the meanings behind it. And I just roll with that. Like, if I see 4s, I'm like foundation. I see 5s, I'm like change. And I flow with that, and it's just the level of manifestation that's needed.
You're gonna have to teach me all this. I don't
I
know
have
any
to.
of it. That's so interesting, and like, I feel like you've completely manifested just your whole career in general.
Yeah, I'm really a big person on, I'm a writer at the end of the day. Like, me just literally writing out what I want, and I just like, this is what I want. I'm very intentional about it, and I have faith, and poof.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as a poof, but
Maybe it is for you.
It's a process. I don't want to make it seem like it's an easy type of thing. It's definitely a process, and trusting it for sure.
I love it. Okay, so now kind of getting more into production and
Yes.
direction, where you're at now.
Yes.
You've done multiple forms of production. What is your favorite?
Ooh, I love both. I was just asked this question recently.
Okay.
Like, which one do you love the most?
I'm not gonna make you pick.
I love both.
That's
I
good.
really do. I feel that for me, I would say film and TV over experiential. But at the same time, it depends on the type of experiential production. So experiential, it can include corporate events, summits, conferences, concerts, fashion shows, galas. Like, you just never know.
Right.
I've done a lot of cool experiential experiences, from movie premieres to one of my favorite, the Fox Upfronts.
Oh yeah, that's right. You've done that multiple times.
Yeah. In addition to that, like with TV and film, I love it more because it's more open range with its limitless creativity, especially working on your own projects. Yeah, I have to pick film and TV. It's my
Okay.
favorite.
Well, I also feel like you're getting more into that now, right? And so it's something new
Yes.
versus something you've done a lot of.
Yes.
That you can like kind of do in your sleep. But you're someone who likes a new challenge.
Yes.
So
always.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So recently, as you just mentioned, you see yourself as a writer, and you've begun writing and directing your own stuff. What has that experience been like for you?
It's been phenomenal. It's electrifying because it's definitely me tapping into my inner child. I've been writing poetry since I was 9 years old, and I would enter poetry contests and all of those things. Like, I always loved picking up a pen and paper. I just love the flow of my pen. And although I was like a scholar in school and a social butterfly at home, I was really introverted.
Right.
So for me, I would be in my room just like I was an internet kid looking up things, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write. I looked up actually how to write a film when I was like 12 years old. Aww. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it. And
meanwhile, I'm over here Sims roller coaster tycoon, like
how do I write a film?
You're being productive.
And yeah, I literally pen and paper. I wrote 150 pages. And I wrote my first film.
When you were 12?
Yeah. Okay. I wrote 2 films by the time I was 13. And my grandmother, she kept them for me.
Aww.
And for me, it was really like, I don't know, one of the films was based off of like Paid in Full. But it was like a woman version of it.
Okay.
It was super cool. And then the other one was about a basketball player falling in love.
Like,
so a little action drama, then a little romance. I love rom-coms. I love romance drama films as well.
What's the name of that? What is that movie? The basketball movie where they fall in love?
Oh, Love and Basketball.
Yeah, I was like, it's a Love and Basketball.
God. Yeah, it was similar to that.
That's so funny.
But from a guy's point of view.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Well, if anyone's looking for a new idea, we got one from 12-year-old Adrena.
There you go.
Okay, and then how, like, you've still been writing, right?
I've still been writing. Now I love writing psychological thrillers and horror and rom-com. Like, it's not a specific genre that I'm steering away from. It's just, I just love writing.
Right.
My thing lately has definitely been shorts. I know that I can be long-winded a lot and just keep writing and writing and writing. And then I'm like, okay, I don't like it. I'm going to start all over again. Me getting back into writing was definitely inspired by my best friend, Clint.
Okay.
When I moved to LA, I was writing a book about my life in New York. And it was during All-Star weekend, and I left my bag in the car. And when I came out, someone broke into the car, stole my bag, and the book that I was writing on paper was stolen. So it took me like about 3 years to begin writing again because I definitely lost like inspiration for writing. Right. And I'm like, damn, like I started writing that back when I was living in New York, didn't have any money, couldn't afford Dunkin' Donuts, and I was writing in Dunkin' Donuts. Like that's when I started the book. And for it to be taken and just stolen away from me, I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to do it anymore.
Well,
so
it's like all your hard work and your emotions and all of this. It's like taking all of your photos out of your phone.
Oh my God, it's the worst feeling. I felt like something was just snatched away from me.
Yeah.
And so for me, for so long, I'm like, I don't want to write anymore. For me, I'm like, it was meant for it to be taken away. Maybe I shouldn't write, and just being very hard on myself. And I started showing myself grace and seeing him like write so much. He's such an amazing writer, and I'm like, that's so dope. Like, how are you writing? Like, just write. And I started back journaling about like things that's going on in my life and all of those things. And it started from a few sentences to a page to 15 pages a day. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting back in my groove. And that's when I started back writing.
So do you do 15 a day still?
Oh no, I don't do 15. I free write. I wake up and I'm like, however I'm feeling. Sometimes it's a page. Sometimes it's never 15 pages. I just don't have the time.
Hi, my name is Adrena. Good morning.
This is what's going through my head. Page 17. It's like, oh girl.
I love that. That's so funny. Okay, and then are you working on any projects that you wrote yourself right now?
Yeah, so my baby, Neptune Retrograde, it's a short film. We actually started, I wrote it in 2000. What year are we in? 2024? 2021.
Okay.
When I moved back to Chicago for a short bit. The story is actually inspired from the growth period and transitioning that I was going through spiritually back in 2018 to 2021. So for me to, I would ride my bike to the lake in Chicago when I moved back, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write this short. I'm going to finally do it, because I was talking about it for so long, like, I want to write this, I want to write this, I want to write this, and I finally did it. I wrote it in a day, the short.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. And my great friend Randis, I gave it to him, he read it, and he's like, this is phenomenal. And Randis is the type of person where he asks a lot of questions. And I know a lot of people can be like so tiring when you're asking a lot of questions, but I loved it because it showed like a true interest. And he's like, this is phenomenal. This is going to go places. And again, my friends reading it, they're like, this is great. Like, you should definitely continue on with this. Like, actually produce it and direct it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it all. No way in hell. So it's definitely in development right now. And coming soon.
Are you actually like working on producing it then?
Producing and directing it as well.
I love it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. But it takes a village. So definitely like consulting out to others, like, hey, I want you to be a part of this producing partner, or hey, I want you to DP it. Because at first, me still learning what a producer and director actually does, I'm like, I'm gonna DP it, I'm gonna do everything. Help, no, girl, what? No way.
Right.
So it's definitely, it takes a village. I'm working with friends as well on a project, so that's one of many projects I'm working on. Another one, I'm EPing a TV series called Americano. Super dope. It's based on the infamous K-pop stars BL series that's popular in Thailand. BL is boys love, a part of the LGBTQ community.
Pride right now.
Pride
happening
is happening outside, like alignment. Yeah, super dope. And I'm actually the associate director and organizer for an upcoming film festival in Los Angeles in September.
Okay.
So that's super cool. In addition to that, it's other TV series that we're working on right now. That's super major. And other things.
Can you tell anyone anything about that?
It's definitely a cult classic that we're working on, that I feel that everyone, once you mention a name, everyone's like, are you kidding me right now?
Right.
It's so dope. So I can't wait to reveal more details because it's definitely in the works and coming very soon. I'm so excited about it.
Very excited about this one. Okay, so when you are working on projects, have you ever been involved in like casting? And how do you approach that?
It's been interesting because with the TV series that I'm currently EPing, Americano, I'm definitely a part of the casting and all those conversations, and it's been a new experience because for me, as a writer, as a creator, as a director, I'm very much inspired by, like for Neptune Retrograde, for example, the main character is really inspired by the style of Khalees. I love Khalees. She's so like eclectic. It reminds me of myself a lot. So I take a lot of from music and film and theater and a lot of those inspirations a part of casting. And I feel like it's a gift because when someone walks in a room and they're auditioning, I can tell if it's the right fit or if it's not. Just based off the first like 90 seconds. And I'm like, yeah, that's the one. And a mentor has told me before, like, you have a true gift with casting, like you can see it beforehand, the entire vision of it. And I'm like, maybe so. Like, I don't know.
I mean, so we're watching the show Clipped. I don't know.
I love that show on Hulu.
It's so good, but the
good.
casting is so bad.
Yeah, well, what do you think about the main character? I like the girl.
Yeah,
who plays
she's
B. She's
cool.
perfect for it.
But we just think it's kind of interesting because you're taking these well-known players who are still playing, and just casting them so far. It's not like it's like a 50 years later type of a situation.
It's kind of crazy because I'm like, this happened when? It's not too long ago. Yeah, Blake Griffin character, I was like,
he looks like an Abercrombie model who dyed his hair a little red.
Like a little off.
Not a basketball player.
A little off. Alfonso, that plays Chris Paul character, amazing actor.
Right.
Love him. I feel like they did right with casting DeAndre Jordan. I feel that they did great with casting him.
Okay.
But otherwise, Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
And like the memes online are hilarious about it. When you are like picking your projects and obviously writing your own stuff, do you have a specific like type of story that you're most excited to tell, or like an angle on a story that you like hope to take on? Like some, I don't know if that makes any sense, but
like different genres?
Genres or like specific type of main character or like impact, like world impact, anything like that?
So the projects that's presented to me, you kind of mentioned it earlier, like it's no such thing. I love a challenge. So taking on like a series like a overseas Thailand-based voice love video, I didn't know the impact that it had on the culture overseas. But further learning, I'm a student of life. My dad calls me that. You're gonna be a student forever. Like you always want to learn. So I'm definitely a student. So for me, I wouldn't say like I'm always turning down projects. I'm always interested to take more because if it's something that I never touched before, it makes me more intrigued. Like I want to take on this because this is new for me. I want to learn more. I want to research. I want to know the ins and outs. Like why do people love it, and just try to apply my vision and my sauce to it as well. And for me, that has definitely been thrilling.
What do you think your sauce is?
That's a great question. I feel that. I feel that sauce for me is definitely tasteful.
Okay.
I feel that the taste factor in all departments for me is definitely where it's at. I feel you have it too. Like,
thank you.
You definitely have it. Interior design,
Right.
even down to selecting restaurants.
That's true.
I love that about you. You
I
always know
never
the
get
right
it
spots.
I know, yeah.
Film, all of that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that taste all around makes you very much so saucy.
Right, for sure. A little bit of a deeper question. How has your experience as a Black woman, particularly in the Southside of Chicago, like impacted your creative process and the people you like to work with, etc.?
Yeah, Southside Chicago is a story within itself. It's so many untold stories. It's so much history within itself. I remember a friend said, I love Chicago. It reminds me of the color brown. And being from the South Side of Chicago, it's very interesting when I started to venture out because a lot of people were like, oh, I have friends that, a Latino friend or I have white friends. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't grow up like that. Like our schools were 100% like Black people. So for me to venture off, like telling those stories as well, like I'm a Black girl from the hood, like the inner city. And a lot of us don't make it to the levels that where we are right now. So being able to go back and tell those stories of like a girl that couldn't afford school because her parents were drug addicts, or the person that made it out of Inglewood, like a Derrick Rose, telling those stories is like highly impactful. And for me, it's just very colorful, the South Side of Chicago, and I feel like those stories need to be told instead of the narrative that's being pushed that it's so violent out there.
Right.
I'm not gonna like stray away. It is a lot of violence that's occurring on the South Side of Chicago still within my neighborhood as well. I'm from Gresham, but I feel like that it's also creative souls that's from Chicago, and those stories need to be told, and that really pushes me and inspires me as a storyteller.
Well, and also like a place can be more dynamic than just one thing, right? Like there might be violence, but there's also like culture and food and happy stories. Like people are staying even if it might not be safe because there's family and like things like that. And I think telling those stories and showing different aspects of what it's like is important. Like I didn't grow up on the South Side of Chicago, but like even being in Chicago, when you tell someone who's like from, I don't know, Europe, like I remember I told family members from Italy, like we're from Chicago, and they're like, oh, Al Capone gangs, bang bang. It's like come on, like, or like the Chirac thing. It's like there's so much more to it, and like kind of like same in New York, same in really any place. If you move around intentionally, you can still like live your life.
You can still live your life. It's so much like rich history in Chicago.
Right.
And like the story of the different sides, the north side and the south side, and our sports teams, and like you said, the Al Capones. Like, I love the history of Chicago. I remember when I moved to New York, and I was writing the book, and my dad was like, well, the best way to tell more about your city is to learn your city. So I took that advice, and my parents are really great with teaching me, like, if something was to ever happen and you're on your own, survival, we're going to teach you. So for my parents to just instill that into me, and me being like a seeker and a wanderer, I would do like, last summer I did a architecture tour.
Oh, I love
Chicago.
that. Yeah, on the boat?
Yo, the boat. And I'm like,
ever
I
need
know
something
these
to
things.
do, and go to Chicago, do the architecture tour.
Please do. I find a lot of joy in instilling a lot of like joy within myself, a lot of solitude, cultivate relationships with my family. Like over the past, me in my 30s, I'm very family oriented. I love going to concerts with my mom, or to a game with my dad, or just out with my girls trips, things of that nature. Being in nature. Yeah, like LA for sure. I want to hike. I am that girly that's hiking at 12 p.m.
Oh God, that's dangerous.
I'm hiking at 12 p.m.
Oh, I guess 12 a.m. is dangerous, not 12 p.m.
12 p.m. is pretty cool.
That's fine. Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, I thought you were saying 12 a.m. and I was like, girl.
That's 12 p.m. for sure. 12 a.m. I'm probably like binge watching my favorite show.
Okay. Well, what's your next question? Put us on a show.
Okay. I like Clip.
Okay.
Really like that. Presumed by Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal. It's on Apple TV. Soul Leveling anime. It's on Crunchyroll. I like. I'm getting into Ripley because I love the talented Mr. Ripley.
Okay.
What else? And I like to go back and binge watch like my old favorites, like The Sopranos, The Wire, of course, for like a lot of inspiration for projects I'm working on. You have The Fallout on Amazon Prime. That's really amazing. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. How would you describe your music taste? And is there an artist that's like followed you throughout your life?
Very eclectic. Like I can wake up and listen to Minnie Riperton, and then it'll switch to Coldplay, and then it'll go to Wu-Tang. Like for me, it's nothing that I don't like. I just love music. An artist I would say definitely is Pharrell. I love everything that he does. Like I said, I'm one of those girlies. The Neptunes, NERD days. Like I still like when I'm going for a ride to go pick up my matcha in the morning. I'm blasting like In My Mind. I'm blasting like Khalees' album. Like I love the Neptunes. I can put on a Neptunes playlist of all the songs they have produced. Like
well, it's interesting. Like Pharrell's career, he's very multi-dimensional and like has made a brand for just being himself, and I feel like that's a great example of like hopefully what you'll be able to get to that level, right?
Oh my God, a girl can dream, and that's
no, it's happening.
Sure.
It's not a dream.
For sure.
Was there ever a point in your life where things could have gone drastically a different way?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely not taking those leap of faiths and staying like within a product of my environment, as they would call it. I feel that by me being curious and just a wanderer, I've definitely been able to just like walk into rooms that's probably wasn't meant for me, but I'm like, it was meant for me. Like I'm walking into this room. So I feel that definitely by taking those leap of faiths and going in different directions has definitely helped me along the way. And it could have been a different path. Like I said, I'm in the inner city, so.
Okay, favorite black-owned restaurant in LA and favorite in Chicago?
My 2 cents in LA. I love it so much.
Where is that?
It's it's on Pico Boulevard. Love. It's so good. It's soul food. It's so good. So good. And then in Chicago, Bloom and Plume. I go every day.
Okay.
It's a coffee shop, but also like he started out floral designs, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Chicago, the staple pieces, you have Harold's, the Mirror, Ethiopian. I love, it's one of my favorite spots in Chicago. But yeah, the staple pieces, the Harold's, you have the food chains that's on the south side, like all of those.
I love it. If you could be any career that's not something in entertainment, what would you be?
I would be an architect.
Okay, why?
I love the concept of structure. I love the concept of it's just phenomenal that in the beginning stages, development stages, where you're like, we're gonna place this building right here. And you're like, all right, well, how are we gonna make this happen? And how they put together the team, and then the planning, and all of that. It's just,
I like it.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself if you were to remove professional?
If I were to remove professional, I would definitely say, I've said it multiple times throughout the interview, I'm a wanderer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with me, I don't need a group of people to explore places.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely do it solo. I would definitely say I'm a wanderer for sure.
I love that. You're also just a people person. And
Yeah, it depends on the type of people. I am a
that's
people
true.
person.
Okay, and last question. What piece of advice would you give to your 10-year-old self?
Keep dreaming, keep going, keep moving, keep flowing.
I love it.
Keep doing it. Like, me tapping back into my inner child 5 years ago is definitely inspired me to be where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was creative, wild-minded, like writing and just seeking out like, what is culture? What is it about? Who am I? What would I be? And I definitely would tell her to just keep dreaming. You got this. Trust the process, girl. Don't give up.
It's true. It's still true.
Thank you. Love you so much.
Okay, anything else you want to share? Anything that you want the audience to keep an eye out for in the future?
Yeah, just continue to keep an eye out on the things that's going on. We have a lot of phenomenal things popping out. We're in a rebranded phase, so stay tuned. 111 is turning 7 in August.
Congratulations.
So it's a big rebrand process
Yeah.
that we're going through. So stay on the lookout for that and future projects to come, because it's going up.
Love you.
I love you too.